Right. Oh, well, that's over, isn't it? Shame that it had to end like that, but you can't really argue. I mean, Denmark were good, weren't they? Really good. And the shame is that I quite fancied that Wales would give them problems. And in the first 15 minutes, we did. And that was exactly how I was hoping it would all pan out. And unfortunately, we couldn't sustain it. So if you've got any comments, questions, or any such like, then please dive in. And I'll do my best to try and make some sense of it all. Jeff Lang put a couple of good comments on before, because I had to restart the stream. And yeah, basically, at least I'm getting a bit of a profile on his interest in clothing. Hang on, now Leon Fleet, should the second goal have happened? In my opinion, no. Absolutely correct there. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, and I'm sort of wanted to avoid that until later, because I don't want to sound like I'm just going to come on moaning and giving it the sour grapes. But it's got to be said, I mean, that is an unbelievably poor decision by the referee for the second goal. And the last goal indeed. I mean, that's a fair question. Well, look at them in order. The second goal is the key one because, okay, we were poor in the first half after that opening quarter of an hour. We've had half time to reorganise. We've come out. I thought we started the second half much better than the way we played in that bad half hour. But then we're 2-0 down because of a refereeing decision. And like I say, I don't want to sort of make excuses, but I'd love to know what would have happened if it had been 1-0 and a free kick to us, because there's no other way of interpreting it. Kier doesn't get anywhere near the ball. He goes right through the back of Moore's right leg. It's a blatant foul, and I can't for the life of me work it out. And I would like to know what would have happened, because we were 1-0 down. We were still in the game. Could we have got ourselves back into it? Maybe what Page was looking to do would have worked, but at 2-0, it's a totally different game. And in those last two goals, and let's remember, I mean, 4-0, I mean, it's a bit cruel. We were 2-0 down in the 88th minute. We've, after the last lot of changes, basically set ourselves up as a broken team, haven't we? So attack and defence and not much in the middle. So we had 5 players back defending, 5 players pushing up. We were leaving gaps all over the place. If you look at the replay of that third goal, I mean, Mailer is unmarked, and there's loads of Wales players on the halfway line who are not. They're not tracking back because, understandably, we're trying to take gambles. So that's unlucky, very cruel for us. That I thought. Then also, right, hang on, just let me get the chat things going, because comments are going up too quickly for me there. Jeff Lang, the foul's on the halfway line, not a good reason to give a soft goal. Oh, yeah. We then defended it badly. I mean, it was a blow, Connor Roberts coming off, because poor Nico had a bad game, didn't he? He started the second half by giving the ball away twice, and then it's a dreadful clearance. And yes, I agree. I mean, I was sort of reluctant to start off on this, although there's also a comment from... Sorry, it's a bit fiddly using this. From Alfie Davis, I think we got shafted by the referee. But certainly, I was really not happy with the referee's decisions, and not just on that second goal. But the fact is, I would have loved to have seen if we were going to turn it around, if we had, if we'd been given that free kick, and it absolutely was a free kick. It's an astonishing decision not to give it. And the fourth one, well, okay, it's gone to VAR. It's frustrating, isn't it, that Evan's been praising them for giving quick decisions on VAR. And, well, are those quick decisions being given because if it's not a clear and obvious error, they're just moving on and sticking with the referee? If so, why didn't that happen then? I don't know. I wasn't in the VAR van. But there's an awful lot of goodwill to Denmark at the moment, and it felt like they got a bit of the rubber of the green today, to be frank. It was a shame. I mean, let's do the referee. Let's do him. Let's get him over the way. The booking of Kiefer Moore was appalling, isn't it? I mean, you can't book a player for that. Goodness me, ref. Kier didn't even bother jumping. So even if Moore's thinking, I'll smash him in the face, surely he thinks Kier's jumping behind him. He's that was an absolutely despicable decision. There's too many yellow cards now being given out just from any contact on the face. and that was just an absolute shocker. And the Reds, absolutely, Leon, just remember mind, never a Red, absolutely. I mean, Wilson looked like, well, I don't know if he's pulling out, but he doesn't make much contact. He's not gone at him. That's very, very poor. Now then, I've got to say, though, Jeff, I agree. I agree. We can't blame a ref for poor defence, poor passing and losing the second ball. We didn't turn up, and I have to accept it. I do accept that. I'm only saying that we look to be getting ourselves back together after the break. I'd have liked to have seen what would have happened if that second goal hadn't come. But yeah, we didn't play well. First 15 was great. I thought it was exactly what I wanted to see. We were getting the ball out wise. James was causing problems with his pace. Bale was causing problems with his pace and his passing. And I was really pleased about the way it was going. But the truth is that after that, I think the stepping up of Christensen into midfield helped a bit. I think it allowed the wing backs to maybe step up and start to push James and Bale back a touch. Gave them actually as Toxic Hunter 127 sitting here crying. Don't worry, we can appoint Gareth Bale as manager now. Don't worry, we'll cheer up soon enough. No, the way that Christensen stepped up, I thought the important thing about that in a way was that it really helped them to keep possession, because we had a good amount of possession in the first 15. We were moving the ball around well, but they just dominated possession because Christensen in that holding role is always there as an extra man. It releases their midfielders to get a bit more space in our half and be a little bit more progressive, play 10 yards higher up. But it also means that when they're looking to recirculate the ball, there's always a straightforward pass back to Christensen that just retains possession. And I thought it was all about possession that first half. The first 15, we looked good. But once the tide turned and Christensen started to have an effect in that sort of advanced role, we were in big trouble. And who knows how it would have panned out in the second half. I mean, like I said, I felt encouraged that we started by getting a bit more wit back in our play in the second, but it didn't last too long, did it, really? I mean, Mailer's a dangerous player anyway, isn't he? And it was a well-taken goal by him. But no, that's life, innit? We didn't get the rub of the green, and we also, I agree, didn't really turn up. I mean, the amount of times they were getting to the second balls, they looked more aggressive than us. There was that stat they said at the end, is it, that we've travelled 3,500 miles and Denmark had travelled 300 miles. I mean, that may make some effect as well. The amount of travelling we've had to do. I don't like this format of a tournament spread around Europe anyway. When there's a pandemic, it's just, that's an awful decision, isn't it? But anyway, we've done very well in the tournament, exceptionally well. We've got into the knockout stages again. I mean, let's be honest, the European Championships is a higher level than the World Cup, because you're not going to have some of the minnow countries that you might have in your group, and they're a little bit of a pushover. In Europe, it's going to be quality. Even teams that qualified through the Nations League, they all knocked out in the first round, but they all made a decent fist of things. So it's hard to get out of a European group, and now we've done it twice in a row. I said in our first Dragonheart before the Euros, my worry about this tournament for Wales was that it's come a bit too early, and now I feel frankly a lot more optimistic, because a lot of the young lads who I thought maybe need another year or two just to develop some experience have performed. And so I'm really optimistic and pleased about that. I think that we've got something to build on there for next year. We're going to get to the World Cup now. The World Cup's coming straight away. In a year and a half, and we've got a basis to build on, so I'm encouraged by that as well, and hopefully some of the players will benefit from this tournament and get the confidence that they got through a tough group, and also the fact that even making mistakes might be something they can learn from. So we got something out of it, didn't we? Page did very well as manager. Don't think there's much he could do about it today. And yeah, as a consequence of a few young players getting a bit more experience, a few young players getting a bit more time on the pitch with their clubs, let's hope that we're in a position to keep getting into knockout stages, because it's a hell of an achievement. I mean, I was looking at Denmark's substitutions, and I thought that was slightly odd, the way they made so many changes. Hjulmand seemed to be a bit more confident than he maybe ought to be with a 2-goal lead. But it made you realise the strength and depth. I mean, they've started that game without Eriksen, obviously. They've started that game without Poulsen. And yet, they're still bringing on players who can have an impact. In a way that Cornelius did when he came on was terrific, wasn't it? And contrast that with the Welsh bench, where, and I'm not meaning it as a criticism of the Welsh backup players, but they're very inexperienced. Like I said, they're works in progress, and there's not much on the bench really for Wales that you would look at and think, oh, we could change the game around now by bringing them on. We're much thinner in terms of the amount of talent we've got. In 3 years' time, we might see it differently. We might be looking at the young lads coming on and thinking, wow, look at that, because they've developed. But for the moment, yeah, Denmark have clearly got much greater strength and depth, and ultimately, fair enough, we started well and we couldn't sustain it, and that's a real pity. If there's no more questions, I might as well sign off. I was going to say thank you very much, everyone. I've really enjoyed doing these Wales ones. Even this one, because I still think we mustn't lose sight of the fact that Wales have actually had a good tournament. And yeah, it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. We'll keep trying to put some stuff on the Wrexham YouTube channel, obviously, as the summer goes on. I got a few little ideas up my sleeve I'm going to work on for the next couple of weeks. And then real footy will come back. And next season promises to be very exciting. So thank you very much for joining me today, and for any of the other games you joined me as well. And, well done, Wales. Thank you very much. My eyesight's awful. John Cunner saying, thanks, you enjoyed the Cymru chats. Yeah, it's been good. I've really enjoyed myself. We have to make this a more regular thing when the season kicks off, won't we? Brilliant. Excellent. So thanks, guys. I'll sign off now, and I'll speak to you pretty soon anyway. Bye.